ever bold and true. With Sharon and Tamara, the vision breaks through. Speak harmony where hearts align.
This episode is brought to you by our sponsor, Media Group. APAT Media Group is a full-service creative video and photo production company specializing in podcasting, multi-camera recording, and live streaming. You may contact them at info@apatmedia.com. Thank you to our sponsors, APAT Media. And I just want to welcome you all to another edition of Speak Harmony. It's another Tuesday evening here in Atlanta where it's raining, but we're thankful and grateful for the rain washing away all that pollen. Welcome, welcome, welcome. Today we have lined up for you in keeping with Mental Health Awareness Month. So we've got two amazing ladies in the studio. My goodness, I don't know where to start, except that I want to say this particular lady, she is an author, a speaker, co-founder of Thrive with Dignity. Dr. Beth Sarah Wright is an Atlanta-based author. She's a dynamic speaker, a world traveler. She's a strategic thought partner who inspires and drives transformation in communities all over this world. My goodness, I don't want to bore you anymore. I just want to bring to the stage Dr. Beth Sarah Wright. Good evening and welcome.
What a joy to be here with you this evening.
My goodness.
Thank you for having me.
Absolutely. Thank you. Well, I know you just got back from one of those many trips, you know, where you go and you transform lives. You speak to people about a plethora of things, but today in particular, we've got one subject that we want to deal with: mental health awareness.
Yes.
You've written a plethora of books, but this particular book, goodness gracious, we're setting the pace for an amazing discussion here. Tell us a little bit about the book. Why this particular book on this particular subject? What does it mean to you?
Well, thank you so much for asking about that. Mental health is something that has become very meaningful to me.
Yes.
I, about 15 or so years ago, had an unexpected bout of clinical depression. Had no idea what it was, but woke up one morning and all was the same, except for one thing. I wanted to die.
Wow.
And that morning, as I did my normal routine and took care of my children and got them breakfast, getting them ready for school, and I kissed my children goodbye and I kissed my husband goodbye on his lips, and I got in the car, and all I could think of was, how am I going to swerve the car off the road? Or how can I gun it in front of the car in front of me? I just know and felt that this was it. I would be better off and my family would be better off without me. Couldn't explain why I had those feelings. I didn't know how. Couldn't explain it. But I could still feel my children's cheeks on my lips. And I could still feel my husband's lips on my lips. And so I drove very slowly to my workplace, where I was teaching at the time at college here in Atlanta. And I got to my classroom and I said to them, I'm sorry I can't teach you today. I left that classroom and checked myself into a hospital. And I got the help I needed, and that hospital saved my life. And I decided while I was in there, and I met all these other patients who were doctors. They were actual doctors and nurses and pilots. And because of my education, we were all put into a particular group together, people at risk of losing licenses and so on. And what was remarkable is that no one wanted to talk about it. But it was only when we began to have group therapy and we began to tell our stories that healing really began. And I left that place committed and dedicated to writing my story and also writing the story of mental health, destigmatizing it, because it's nothing that you could have brought on in yourself, and it's not your fault. And it was just something that I needed to talk about. And I wrote a book about my own story. But then after that, as I encountered people after speaking and so on, people just said, I wish I had something short, to the point, just gave me the main facts so I could understand this behemoth of a thing. I just need just a few facts. And hence this book, 10 Things I Wish I Knew About Depression Before it almost took my life. So just 10 things.
Wow, and you've got a PowerPoint to share as well, because before we get into that PowerPoint, goodness, that's a lot to unpack.
Yes.
Because, I tell people when they say to me, what does someone who has mental illness look like? Mm-hmm. What does that really look like? I mean, unless you're out there acting out, it's anyone, everyone.
Yes.
And so destigmatizing mental health, because in our community, it's a thing.
Oh, yeah.
Unfortunately, it's a thing. And it's an embarrassing thing, too, because we are ill. We tend to, in our culture, we hide it. Don't tell anybody that they're going through that. Oh, my God, if you say that word depressed, they're going to be embarrassed. They're going to think something's wrong with our family. Unravel that stigma, because, we want to debunk it. We want to get rid of it.
Yes.
How do we really do that? Because, again, it's not a zip code. It's not any particular zip code. People with licenses, and we're talking about people making a lot of money,
Yes.
people who are not making money,
Yes.
it's anyone.
Yes.
So talk to us about that, because there's someone watching right now, and I'm getting choked up because, in fact, I just learned, not even half an hour ago, that there's a friend of a friend who just lost a 40-year-old to suicide
I'm sorry to hear that.
last week.
Sorry.
And it's happening as we speak. There's someone about to decide, you know what, I'm done. I'm checking out. Speak to those persons right now, because you've been there. I can't express it.
Yes.
I haven't been there. But I kind of know by seeing certain things. Unpack that for me. It's a bunch of questions there, but I want to know what it is that you would say to that person who's about to run into that car in front of them, run off the street, and leave their family in shambles.
I have come to believe that every conversation about mental health has to begin, in my humble estimation, with the conversation around dignity, human dignity. You are made wonderfully, beautifully for this world. You are a child of God. And if you don't even believe in God, you are a human being with something very special inside of you that is making you a human being. It's your humanity. It's your dignity. The way I understand dignity, it is the breath of God inside of you. You are beautifully and wonderfully made, period. No matter what. No matter what. And I want people to remember that first and foremost. No matter the struggles that you're going through, the hard days, the days that you think that you're not worth it, I want you to know that you are worth it. Period. Now, we've had some strong, difficult days, and that is true. We can have those days, we can struggle, we can suffer. What I want you to know is that no matter how far and how deep you may fall, when you get to the bottom, you will not shatter into a million pieces. Instead, you will bounce. You will bounce. You will come back. No matter what you think is the worst thing that's going through your life right now, one, you're not alone. You're not the only person who's ever experienced this. Know that. And that's why it's so important for us to tell our stories, because you never know who you might be speaking to and who might say, me too. That happened to me. Mm-hmm. And it's okay. Know that you're not alone and you are worth it. You are worth it no matter what. That's what I want to say first. And then these 10 things, I won't go through all 10 things, but we can go through some of those briefly. One of which is, the first one is, it's not your fault. You did not bring this on yourself. You didn't bring this on yourself. Is it okay if I begin this?
Absolutely. And let's go, because,
Let's
you know,
see.
there's that PowerPoint that, yes.
Yes.
Go ahead right
well,
there.
this is my background. I do want you to know, too, that I am an adjunct professor at the Emory University School of Medicine in the Department of Psychiatry. And I became that as a part of writing these books.
Yes.
And it's so important just to remember also that your stories matter. Your stories matter. These are the books that I have written, but today we're going to focus on this one in particular, 10 Things I Wish I Knew About Depression Before It Almost Took My Life. And that is the first point, and it is number 1 in the book. It's not your fault. You did not bring this on yourself. Now, that's another thing in our community that people might say, oh, well, you're not praying hard enough, or you're not working hard enough, or you're not doing this and this and this. And you know what? That's not true. Clinical depression. Now, I want to also know, I am not a clinician, but it is important to know that there is a difference. We all as human beings have ups and downs. We have days that are blue when we're down and you're sad. My dearly beloved sister, I just lost last week, and that is making me very sad. So sadness is very human.
It is.
That's normal. When that sadness persists for longer than 2 weeks, and it continues and it continues, and it begins to affect your life, you're not sleeping well enough, or you're sleeping too much, or you're not eating enough, or you're eating too much, or it has changed your joy in life, your purpose in life. When that begins to affect your life, you know that something else is happening. And that is clinical depression. And that is a medical condition. And it's important for people to know it's not your fault. You did not bring something on yourself. And in each of these points, I also refer to the Bible because that's a big part, one of people's lives, but it's certainly a big part of my life. And I've come to read the Bible in a very different way after I had this bout of depression. And I can see myself in the words, and I can see that there's healing that's possible always. So there is this, it's not your fault.
It's not your fault.
And I want to just give some background. Approximately 22.8% of all adult Americans age 18 or older has had the presence of a mental illness. Now, I think it's important that people know that this is how we destigmatize. You might think, and I did too, my first book was called A Story of Depression from Denial to Discovery. I was in denial.
Wow.
I thought, boy, you have to look a certain way. You have to be walking down the street with no clothes on and going crazy. That's what I thought.
Yes.
That's a mental illness. I did not know what depression was. No one in my family had it. I thought that you had to have a pretty difficult life growing up. You had to have violence in your life or abuse in your life to have depression. Nonsense. No, it doesn't. That may contribute, sure, but that does not have to happen. Depression does not look the same way for everyone. It doesn't look the same way, and I think that's important too. I think we need to honor that it's okay. It's okay if you do have that. An estimated nearly 50% of adolescents aged 13 to 18 has had a mental disorder. That is incredible, and it is, and it's important to know that we need to take care of our young ones too, our little ones. They're going through a lot and many different reasons.
Well, can I ask you to pause right
Sure.
there? Because I'm going to interrupt you only because something crossed my mind when you
Yes.
said that. I'm not a teacher,
Yes.
but I am a teacher. We all teachers. We all teach, in our own way. As a teacher in the classroom, how do you identify and how do you treat? Of course, you want to refer students, especially you see something that might, in your estimation as a teacher, that might look like mental illness, or, you know, it has some resemblance of that. What I know, and I just saw a video, and I posted it. It broke me, because this young lady went to the doctor. She tried to check herself in, and I'm going to say it, an African-American young lady, and she went to a doctor, a Caucasian doctor, and he told her something to the effect that you're here like for the pills again or whatever. You just want medication, like get out of here, in other words. And she was depressed. She was sick. So that's my fear about a teacher in the classroom saying to referring a student off to the nurse, the social worker. That petrifies me, because here it is. It's not all medical doctors or medical professionals that do this. What would you say to that teacher who's struggling with a student, who sees a student come in and say, I know there's something going on with little Tommy or little Johnny or Susie, but she's toying with the idea that if I send her or him off to the nurse or to the social worker, they're going to become statistics. They're going to be like this young girl that went to that doctor that pretty much just told her, go away. She stuck around, and she saw another doctor, and she got treated.
Thank God.
Thank God for that. But what about the others that have gone through the system and have ended up in jail, mental institutions, and never bounced back because they're forgotten? How do you treat stuff like that? What do you say to a teacher who sees stuff like that? I mean, do you approach the parent? That's a burden to bear.
Well, I would say that that's a wonderful gift that you can actually, instead of a burden, I would think of it as a gift. I would back up just a little bit. Remember I said that any conversation about mental health begins with dignity, human dignity?
Yes.
To respect another person's dignity literally means to look again at their dignity. Spect like specere, like spectacles, to look and again. That to me is whenever you are curious about another person. Curiosity is very key. You need to be able to see beyond, look again. That doctor needed to learn this very thing. Look again. You can look and bring all your experiences, your biases, all of that to bear in the first instance. But I'm going to ask us as human beings, can we truly look again to see that there's dignity in this person and that we should be curious? The only way that I can fully see and honor that person's dignity is to learn their story. And that means being curious, asking, how are you today? And really listening. God was instructive when God gave us 2 ears and 1 mouth. Let us listen. Listen for what is being said and what is not being said. Listen. Pay attention. Be curious. Listen with your heart. I think that is, a teacher is in a beautiful position to do that with their students. Always. We don't know what's going on in their homes. We don't know. Let us be curious. Let us try to hear their stories, elicit their stories. And I wish doctors would do the same. Ask a few questions. We need to be able to do that, to get a little bit deeper, to see what's really going on. And not putting any judgment on what you might hear. We know we can't judge people for what they're going through. They're already, it will be difficult enough to share it. How can we listen and honor it, respect that dignity, hold that, value it? Okay, you're going through a hard time. How can I help? You want to create an environment for that person to be brave, to have a little bit more courage, to tell you what's going on. So I would say that.
Thank you so much.
Yes.
I'll remember that.
Well, I see if we can keep on going on here. Just a few more. Depression does not discriminate. This is another thing that I did not know. I wish I wrote there, I wish I knew that being educated or coming from a stable home did not exclude me from having depression. See, I wish I knew that. I thought, Lord, as I said before, is relegated to certain people. It is not. It does not discriminate. It is a medical condition that does not discriminate. You would never say to someone, boy, that's why you have cancer. You would never say, well, you did that, and so this is the reason you're getting that. That doesn't make, it's nonsense. And so depression does not discriminate, I thought was a very good point to make. And recognizing that, in fact, for example, did you know, what do elderly Asian women, children of military veterans, Latina immigrants in the United States, and children in refugee communities have in common? These are all what you may see as disparate groups of people that have nothing in common, but actually they do, and that is a high propensity for depression.
Interesting. Wow.
And so what I would like to offer people is that we look again, we look and we look again.
And respect.
Dignity. Respect their dignity. Respect that, in fact, everyone has a story to tell, and that we can actually listen to the story before making judgments and all sorts of things, and shaming people for going through things that are really beyond their control. Beyond. And so I thought, and my background is also in social anthropology and sociology, and so I always look at the world through that lens, which is also, well, everyone is coming from a different story. No culture is exactly the same. We look to observe and to embrace what is. So I thought that was very interesting, and I made sure that I talk about that because we have so many different communities where we're afraid. Did you know that there is no word for depression or even psychiatry or in certain communities? They don't even have that word. They don't even have it in certain languages.
Really?
And so it's important that we don't just assume that everybody can feel comfortable going to a psychiatrist or a therapist, but they might go to different types of places or different models or role models in their community to get the help they might need. But it's important to look and look again. And then, of course, this, which you just spoke about, that suicide is real. It is real, unfortunately, but it is not the answer. And so I want to say here that I know what it was like to want to end my life, but to anyone out there who might be considering this and who might be thinking that this is the only way out, I hope you know that this is not the way. This is not the answer. This is not the answer. You deserve to be here in this world. And no matter what you're going through, there is a way forward. They say in the Bible, weeping may endure for a night, but joy comes in the morning. Sometimes that night might last years, but joy is in your future, and I want you to know that. And if right now somebody is going through that question right this moment, thank God that there are places that we can call, dial 988. Right now, if you are considering this, and talk to someone. Just have someone who is prepared and who's equipped to listen to you. It's okay, and you can share that.
And closing right there, Dr. Wright, I thank you for everything you've shared. Yes, it's a little emotional because you've enlightened me, you've uplifted me, you've educated me. I'm better for it because now I know I will forever remember, put respect on everyone. It doesn't matter who they are.
No.
It doesn't matter who they are.
No.
It's the young person, an older person, in between. It's someone that hurt you. It's someone that you love.
Exactly.
Put respect on it. But there is also dignity, and everyone deserves that.
Yes.
These are the words. they're going to resonate with me until I leave this planet, because these are the things that we need to know. And I'm glad you touched on all of those. Everyone needs a copy of that, but please let them know where to find you, how to find you, and they need to be able to share this, because we are losing people, especially in today's climate with what's going on in America.
Yes.
It affects everyone. They say when America has a cold, everybody gets pneumonia or something of that sort. So bottom line is, right now, America has pneumonia.
Yes.
So everybody else is getting,
Oh, Lord.
God forbid,
I don't know
COVID.
what.
So here we are. We've got to keep our eyes wide open
Yes.
and pay attention more.
Yes.
Give dignity and respect to everyone. And if someone's acting a little, that you think, don't cast them out as being weird.
No.
Because I know that's what we tend to do. Oh,
Yes.
my God, they're just acting up again. They're
Yes.
just drama queens and drama kings.
Yes.
Yes, there are people who need attention for whatever reason, but there's a reason.
Yes.
And I say ADD attention deficit disorder
Yes.
is real.
Oh, yes.
And I would say that. And I know I used to say, well, drama queen, drama king. But you know what? We don't know.
Yes.
We don't know their history. We don't know their story. So we've got to respect and give them some dignity.
That's right.
I thank you so much for your
Thank
time. I
you.
appreciate you braving this weather or the storm to
Oh.
get here to share with us.
Our viewer would like to know, what are the clues for parents to see the signs in their teenage kids and what they need to do about what they do?
Such a good question. And I see now that more and more pediatricians, nearly every doctor that you go to now will be screening for depression. So they usually ask a series of questions. And I think you can apply those also in your home, which is to look at a student or a child, your child, and see, first of all, pay attention to any significant behavioral changes. They're sleeping too much, not, listless, loss of energy, thinking about, maybe not as excited about playing football or as baseball or something as they used to be, or not as interested in their schoolwork as they were before. Sometimes that's a sign that something is going on, and especially if it has persisted beyond 2 weeks. They usually use that 2 week as a boundary, really, for folks. But if 2 weeks, is going by and you just see these persistent behaviors, also ask them. Ask. Without judgment, without any guilt or obligation, just be curious enough to ask, is everything okay? What's happening? How are you feeling? And really listen. Really listen. As I said, doctors now, pediatricians, they're screening nearly every patient who comes in. So I just hope, too, that they will be as honest as they can. You want to create an environment for young people to feel safe and brave enough to really share how they're feeling.
Interesting. Thank you for that question. Again, I just have another thought here while you were saying that. The behavioral changes. Don't be judgmental. Your child a lot of times children are afraid to approach their parents, and they may trust someone else. And unfortunately, sometimes they trust the wrong people, and they get led down that rabbit hole. They get led down that path. So we have to be more vigilant as a community sometimes, because there's single moms out there, there's single parents out there, single dads, let's call it for what it is. Grandmothers raising their grandchildren, great-grandmothers, uncles, aunts. We have to get back to basics, get back to the village, and pay attention and give a helping hand where we can. So we need community. We need to get back to community. Again, I say thank you.
Welcome.
My goodness, I cannot get enough of this. This is what we need. And we're going to switch gears a little bit. So when we get back from this commercial break, we have another guest who's in the house. My goodness, it's mental health awareness, and we want everybody to be aware.
Yes.
So we'll be right back. Welcome back to the second segment of Speak Harmony. My goodness. It's been an interesting evening, and I just want to say thank you, Dr. Wright, for being here. But we have another special guest in the house, my namesake, Dr. Sharon Reed. This lady, affectionately known as the Heart Lady, okay? She's got over 30 years, yes, 30, and she barely looks a day over 30. So I don't know what she's been doing, but she's got this experience in healthcare. She's a versatile healthcare professional, and she's an inspiring speaker. She's written books. She does workshops. She facilitates these workshops, these great, amazing workshops. She's an expert coach. She's done the whole 9 yards. I'm not going to bore you with anything else, but I'm going to bring to the stage Dr. Sharon Reed. Welcome, the Heart Lady. Good to have you.
It's so good to be here, and
Absolutely.
I must say, respect.
Respect.
Thanks, love it.
Definitely, it is a high value for me, is respect and respecting others. And just the other day, if I might just give a quick little story, not just the other day, just this morning, my husband was reminding one of his coworkers how important it is. He said, just before the pandemic, he says, so when you walk in a building, who is the most important? And maybe the CEO, maybe the financial person. My husband says, it's the janitorial, housekeeping.
Yes.
And he's like, why would you say that? So post-pandemic, my husband says, now do you know why I said that?
Yes, that's right.
And it was like, yeah, because it's the cleanliness, and it is those who make the environment aesthetic. Even when we're talking about mental health, it is the environment that we're also a part of that contributes to sadness,
Yes.
depression,
Yes.
anxiety.
Yeah, for sure.
Wow. But I dare to say that with the advent of social media, and we cannot blame everything on social media, guys, but bullying is one of those topics
Yes.
that we know about. It's very prevalent. And it's not only children that are being bullied. Adults are being bullied.
The teachers.
Teachers are being bullied.
Yes.
It's like
Yeah.
everyone's,
Yes.
they're bullies from the main street to the other street.
Yes. Yes.
And dare I say that we have to be careful because we've got politicians doing this, bullying people. People are fearful. People are scared. Dr. Reed, unpack that whole little topic of bullying, and how do you deal with that? How do you identify, that someone's being bullied? And what does that look like?
Well, you said that people are fearful of being bullied, but it's also the bully who is in fear, and the bully who wants to make themselves significant because they may not feel that way. And so it is the bully that also may be going through some mental health challenges as well. So hence, not to judge, and to be able to get to the root cause of that bullying. And conversations need to come around not only to the bully and the bullyee, right? The bully.
I like that.
But I think it's a little more compassion when you're talking about the one that is being bullied. And that way, when you bring them in and not show them up, sometimes it's just not even paying them any attention because that's what they need. But on the other hand, it's a lot of attention they need. And so there are many variables on how you deal with a bully, but the person who is being bullied now at home is such an important support system, helping to rebuild the self-esteem and the ego, and giving them practices of speaking love into themselves, into the mirror, and also letting them know that that person has problems and that they are trying to heal themselves, and they're taking it out on you. But also giving them a sense of courage and empowerment, and giving them boundaries and letting them know that certain things they cannot take for granted. And so it's not about crying and going into a shell, but it is learning how to stand up for yourself, but stand up for yourself with respect and dignity as well.
Interesting. Well, you are the heart lady. How do you tie mental health with the heart? I mean, how do you tie those together? I mean, because you are the heart lady, and you've written a few books.
Yeah.
On Break Your Broken Heart. Tell us about that, because you've got a slide for us, and you've got some questions
Just
as well.
a quick little assessment,
Yes.
because I love to be interactive, but they were kind of like 2 questions in that. And
Okay.
so emotions, the heart is home. This is the center of who we are. And so how we think, how we feel, how we behave, all of that stems from what we've taken to heart. We've also experienced emotional wounds from intergenerational trauma. And all of those things impact on how we deal with others. So my thing is that one of my sayings is the heart, it impacts the quality of our health, how we love, and the way we live. And that's physical, emotional, and spiritual. And it takes all 3 to be able to harmonize. They won't all balance. People say, I want balance, or I want positivity. But we know that there's the positive and the negative. This is the flow and web of life, and everything there is contrast. However, we want to be able to find some harmony. There are times where we're going to work so hard, and there are going to be times when we don't feel like it. And it's okay. But it's to find that harmony, to find that dance, that you're not always just stepping on the other person's toe. And then also recognizing, I'm stepping on toes quite a bit. Maybe I need to learn some different steps so I can be in harmony. So yeah, and harmony is speaking harmony.
Look at that. Perfect. Speak harmony. So in keeping with that, goodness, you've got some questions lined up. And so guests, get your paper and pen, because guess what? Your paper and your pen, you're going to need it.
Yeah.
Dr. Reed has questions for you. She's got homework. She's getting you to work. And share it, please. So with this, make sure you are liking and subscribing and sharing again. Like, subscribe, and share, because guess what, guys? We're going to go to work here. We're working. Today, people, we're setting it. Go ahead with this now.
Thank you. Just before we go into the slide, because those are just basically assessments for you to do yourself, because I believe healing starts within, and it starts with you, and it's about asking yourself these questions as well. A caller asked about some of the things that they can notice in their teens, and just this morning. So this is how interesting the universe is working, and how God is just pulling us together. Because just this morning, I had a client that called me about her 13-year-old. Just this morning, and she was cutting, and she just was in an institution for a week. Just last week, I had another client, 19 years old, 20 years old. Her mother called about the same thing that's been happening to her. So this is becoming a pandemic.
It is.
1 of 5
It's an
people
epidemic.
in the United States have it.
Yes.
So it is global. It is social media. Social media has become a stimulant. On one hand, it is great because it's great for education.
Of course,
Right, and there is connection. But on the other hand, it's stimulating a lot of misinterpretation of what they're seeing. And so we need to be able, again, to find some balance within that. And just to add to what Dr. Wright has said for what was some of the signs, it is the appearance. I notice that a lot of the young children and adults are dressing in dark colors. They may be disheveled and really not feeling that, bright colors brighten up,
Yes.
right?
I do.
They make you feel good.
All of us
Yes,
there, so
very
it's
bright
part of-
colors,
yes,
exactly.
yes.
And so it could be that. It could be poor hygiene,
Yes.
right?
Yes.
And they could be acting out, or they could be withdrawn.
Yes.
And they're not part of the social clubs and scenes as they used to. And it really also begins to be asking the questions about the feelings and the thoughts. It's the thoughts that are driving these feelings. What are they ruminating about? What are they thinking about? What are they saying about themselves? And so if we as parents and as observers, these are the things that we need to start looking. It's also body language. People can say, yeah, I'm fine. I don't look fine when I'm like, yeah, I'm fine. So we need to be able to do a read of the person that you're with, and being able to not ask the questions why. Because why puts an individual on defense. And so, but asking how and identifying with them. So I was sharing with the mother that to be able to ask the questions and find some relation. I felt bad sometimes, and sometimes when I'm so sad, I don't know what to do. So it's important that we try to develop a relationship, have a circle of support. If anything we've learned out of the last couple of years is that we need circle of support. Isolation and loneliness is another pandemic.
Oh, yes. Oh, it's
So, yeah. And so I'd like to switch to the question.
Stand.
And before you go there,
Okay.
real quick, I got a quick question for you because we've got a lot to unpack here. We've
Sure.
got lots to cover. It could be, very well be, don't you think, that child is having an issue with the parent or the parents because there's something going on in the household
Absolutely.
that is affecting them. And
Absolutely.
so they go to school and they take it out on the kids, just like
Yeah.
parents
The
have
bullying.
issues at home.
Yeah.
Yes.
And so they go to the workplace.
Yeah.
And
the
take it
woman,
out.
the mother or whatever, or the father, they take it out on the coworkers.
Absolutely.
So it's a two-way
I
street.
do. I
Yes.
ask what are
Yes.
things modeling, and so it wasn't just about the child. I told her it's also about what's going on in the house.
Yes.
What things has she? I take it as far back as what are the thoughts and the feelings that you were having during pregnancy.
It's a big part of it.
I take it that far back. So I said that I know that your priority is your daughter, but the both of you live together. I asked who else is in the household that also may be contributing to these. Where is she going? So there's a plethora. How is she eating? Because people don't think, how is she sleeping? These are some major things. People make poor decisions with sleep deprivation. How do you know they're sleeping? So in my practice, it's all about what's going on physically, emotionally, and spiritually. So are you sleeping? What type of foods are you eating? Are you passing your stool? And then for adults, then I ask the other adult questions.
Of course.
What is giving you joy? Are you having any joy, if you know what I mean?
Sure.
That's right.
Sure. Sure.
That's right.
Sure.
Yeah.
So, thank you for that. Go right ahead because time is running out on us.
All
and I
right,
wish
I'm
we
running
had
out
2 hours,
already.
but yeah.
So, I
Yeah.
asked to take on the physical. And so this physical mental health check is, am I getting enough sleep, rest, movement? You'll notice that studies have said that if you are exercising, if you are keeping moving, you're shifting the energy within. So it's important to find an activity that you like, that you enjoy. And so movement is key to shifting that because you also are increasing oxygen. It's going to the brain. It creates those feel-good hormones within you. It builds up strength. So movement. And then what else did I say there? Nourishment. I said nourishment and support. Not just that you're eating healthy, but are you eating in order to support your energy? Are you having the proper nutrition and supplements? Those are critical because, mental health is also about mood and attitude.
Yes.
And then so the emotional awareness check-in is, are there emotions that you've been ignoring? Right? So Dr. Wright talked about being in denial. Big key there, right? What are you avoiding? What are you holding down within your heart? What are you holding that's stuck in your throat that you are not expressing and releasing, right? And then can you name those feelings because you have to name it to heal it? You have to name it, feel it, and heal it.
Say that again.
Name it, feel
Feel
it,
it, and
to
heal it.
heal it.
Wow.
Name it,
I like that.
feel it, to heal it.
That's right.
Interesting.
Yeah, so a lot of times we don't know what we're feeling. In my practice, I have a large emotional list, and I said, just take a look and circle what resonates to you. And so sometimes they can't come up, but once we give it a name, we can then begin to work within that. Now, I'm being mindful and saying, give it in a name, but I'm also being mindful that we don't label a person this. Because once you label a person and they say that this is what they are, then this is what they become.
Exactly.
That's a fully loaded statement.
It is.
So it's naming the feelings, not the diagnosis.
That's right.
Because a lot of people say that they are depressed when they're really just sad and they're just grieving.
Yes.
And they haven't really met the clinical parameters of being depressed. It's just that they feel very sad. And then we have those functional depressives that you were talking about, and we don't know, but there are still telltale signs. So check in with yourself. And then the spiritual connection, right? Do I feel connected to something? That means having good values and learning what your purposes are. And the purposes are really just the things that you do real good. You know how many times I don't know my purpose in life. Well, what are you good at? What would you do for free if you didn't have to get paid for? The purposes has been overrated because from the mere fact that we're here, we have a purpose.
Exactly.
You know, and then you want to talk about the spiritual connection to your ancestors. As I said, intergenerational trauma is a real thing, and it is real for us that are of African American or Caribbean or of African ascent, as I said. This is a real thing, and it goes even beyond the enslavement era. But we take up that. And then, of course, drawing on your faith. Drawing on your faith. And so here again, ancestral insights. Are there patterns in your thoughts, emotions, or behaviors that may have come from your past? And so this really is talking about there are cycles and patterns that you see in your family. And then you just do it because everybody else does it. Or you may just say, well, you know, no one in my family gets married. We all have children early. Or no one graduated. Or we never have money. You know, these are rooted beliefs that we need to examine. And why are these cycling through? And I say, once you recognize those patterns and that cycle, then you are chosen to be the one to break the cycle.
Wow.
So it's about also asking for the support. Sometimes you just can't, like you were saying earlier, the child may not be able to speak to the mother. So then the child needs to speak to someone else that she doesn't feel judgment, that she doesn't feel fear shame, and that she can talk freely. And then for the person who they're speaking to truly what? Listen with the heart.
Listen with the heart. Listen with the heart.
Listen with the heart.
Yeah. And when you're listening to the heart, it's different from just hearing the person. Listening from the heart is really having the compassion. It's compassion. So that the person can identify themselves and knowing that, oh, all right, I can talk. And so when you listen with the heart, there's an energy exchange.
Of course, you make a connection.
You make a connection and you allow the
Wow.
person to express themselves. And in that, what is being said, in that, what is not being said is what you listened for.
So you have to first make that heart connection.
Yeah.
And you're right, because when someone feels relaxed, when they feel comfortable with you, they're going to share.
They will.
And I'm getting goosebumps thinking
Yes.
of that, because that is so true.
Yeah.
When you feel that that person's, you know, you've got their ears, oh my God, then you want to tell them everything.
That's right. When I start with my clients, especially with the younger ones, and it's so funny because I say, I don't do children, but they're coming to me. And so I'm like, okay, I'm going to listen.
Yes, gonna do it.
I'm
Yes,
gonna listen because
yes.
they keep on coming. And for the young ones, we just have a conversation.
Yes.
Yeah.
I start off, girls, so what's going on?
That's
You know, I just have the conversation
Get
and
to their
help them and
level.
make the atmosphere. Some of them, I may have a candle lit for some of my older ones. I'll have some nice, what you call Zen, cool music playing. So the environment is inviting.
Yes.
That's right.
And I may use a little aromatherapy, you know, burn a little frankincense and myrrh, something sweet, or my, you know, different scents just to make everything feel calm. So when you come in, you'll be like, okay,
Yes.
all right. And I just sit down and talk. How can I support you?
That's right.
What is it that's really heavy on your mind that you can't sleep? And everything is for me. You get to choose. I don't know. You get to choose. And that is a significant point that people don't understand. You get to choose how you want to feel. Dr. Wright came to the point where she says, I choose to heal. I choose to feel better. I choose not to stay in this depressive state. It's by a choice.
Yes.
And it takes work.
It takes
and
the work.
It takes effort.
And it takes the patience.
Yes.
Being patient with yourself.
Being kind to yourself.
Being kind, being tolerant. Yes, absolutely. So those are my assessments. And if you didn't jot them down, just a quick way to remember them is just at night or early morning, depends on how you are. I'm a night owl. Some people get up early. But just within that first hour when you are awake and before you go to sleep, those first hours are so impeccable to how your next day is. So if you take a body scan and just ask your heart, that's my secret, how do I feel? Was I kind to myself? Was I kind to others? What's going in my body? Head, are you okay? Chest, are you okay? Arms, do you feel good? And going down each limb. And you'll be surprised when you do that often, you start to learn your body. And you get to say, this ain't right. I may need to check this out. So you are in the process of healing and learning and knowing your body. Because guess what, Sharon, if you go to the doctor, he won't know you have a headache unless you tell him.
That part.
Okay?
Oh, yeah.
So we need to be able to get
Body
in
scan.
tune with ourselves by doing this body scan and learning the other big issue that goes along with mental illness is anxiety. Worrying about things that 90% do not come true. If you ever thought about it, I worry and say, what if I'm late, and when you get there, you arrive just on time.
Of course. And guess what? And if you don't get there on time,
It does not matter. So worrying and keeping these thoughts that don't serve you are the ones that are driving you down to the lowest vibrational emotional scale. And so it's hard. It's practice. It's not just popping a pill. It's not just doing exercise for a couple of days, a month or 2 months. It's not just saying, I'm going to eat vegetables this day. It's about continuing the practice and learning your body to know what resonates well and being around the people that will help lift you up, that don't join your pity party, but help lift you up.
of course.
So, yeah.
Beautiful.
And there you have it. My goodness. Wow, what a way to end this segment, this final segment. I just want to say, tell the folks how they can reach you, Heart Lady, Heart Doctor, because my goodness.
Yeah, so
I love this.
Easily accessible at The Heart Lady. That's THEE, because you know, the one. So yeah, so it's THEE Heart Lady on Instagram at The Heart Lady. Email me, Sharon at The Heart Lady. If you want a copy of my book, Break the Broken Heart, 7 holistic ways to heal when the relationship is over. And it's not just about a relationship between intimate partners. It is about a best friend, a spouse, and relationship with yourself.
And might I just add real quick before we go, because we're closing out, and sometimes, because we've found that, sometimes with our own parents or siblings, because we've heard that so many times, and I can't tell you how many times I've heard it in the past couple of weeks, months, that my mom is toxic. My father is toxic. I mean, these are people who gave you life.
Yeah.
My siblings. Sometimes, yes, you may have to run away from them, because if that's what's causing the toxicity within you,
Yeah.
escape,
Yeah.
get away. Sometimes you need to cut clean.
Yeah.
So don't be embarrassed to do that. Get away for your peace of mind, for your heart health,
Yes.
your respect, and your dignity. And on that note, we want to say speak harmony. Make sure you do that body scan. Harmonize and give everyone respect and dignity. Speak harmony. We've ran over our time, but you know what? We could just go on for another month, because I know Mr. P is over there thinking, my goodness, this is amazing, right? Mr. P's giving us the thumbs up.
Okay.
And we've got visitors in the audience who are just enjoying this. Ladies, I want to say thank you so much.
Thank you.
Let us continue to speak harmony. And until next time, next Tuesday, same time, same place.
Amen.
Let's speak harmony.
Thank you.
Thank you so much.
Thank you.
Shame.
Meetings of the mind, where wisdom is shared. Tamara and Sharon, a duo prepared to light up the path, to bridge every gap. Access meets opportunity, there's no turning back. Forward with fortitude, the future's in sight. Together we rise like stars in the night. Authenticity reigns, love leads the way. We're speaking in harmony every single day. Speak harmony, let your voice intertwine. So let's move forward, ever bold and true. With Sharon and Tamara.